De 10, Micaela Ann Johnson.
It's back to school week for us. I'm going back to work. I only teach a couple classes. Tracy's going back to work. We're definitely going to talk to her about her teaching. Gabriel's going back to school, and Mika's going back to school. So we right now are making the 120-mile one-way trip up to Guerrero Negro to buy Mika a new uniform for school. I have no clue as to why no one closer sells them. Each of the schools have a different uniform and a different patch. So I'm sure this place we're going to, last time we went it was packed with people, but I'm sure they make a pretty good living selling uniforms. All right, so it's back to school week, and we have some questions for Tracy. So Tracy, you got a couple things for back to school. One, parent, got 2 kids going to school. 2, you're a parent representative at Michaela's school. I know you have to go to a meeting. You can talk about that. And 3, you also teach, I would say, on Mexico hours full time, definitely not U.S. time. Definitely, you're not working full time like we did in the U.S. So tell me, first of all, what is it like for the kids? Kids going back to school, tell us, what do you think about the schools here? And
so yeah, both Michaela and Gabriel go back to school Monday. Michaela is going into her last year at secondary. She'll be 3rd year. And Gabriel is going into, I guess it's by semester, 3rd semester of prepa. They're excited. Gabriel's been out for a while, and he's had a very busy summer. He's kept himself really, really busy academically, physically. So he's ready. Michaela's had a much shorter summer. She didn't get out until mid-July. And she had a lot of softball, but even though her summer was really short, I just think all of us crave structure, and so I think she is definitely ready as well. She's getting her uniform ready. She's been working on her backpack for weeks. She wanted to get all of her color-coded notebooks, and she wanted to have a cover page for them, which I think is really cool.
All right, Gabriel, so you are starting back to school tomorrow, right?
Yep.
How are you feeling?
Feeling good. I've been preparing both in going over my notes from last year and summarizing them, and then studying for what I know that we're going to be doing this year.
Cool. So this will be the equivalent of your junior year, 11th grade, which here is 3rd semester. What are you most excited about?
I really want to take better hold of the opportunities that I have. Last year I got to learn about a lot of the events that my school hosts. I've gone to some, and this year I want to take the extra steps now that I know of what it takes to get to the nationals in each round. Tomorrow I'm starting training with the track team so I can make it to the nationals in running. I'm going over my notes, making sure I'm prepared so I can go to the academic competition. I'm still writing, so next year hopefully I can go to short stories again. No, I'm going to the nationals in 3 weeks.
So one thing that's cool is the government sends us these vouchers. So each student gets 2 vouchers. One that is worth 450 pesos towards uniforms, and the other is 200 pesos towards school supplies, which we just already used at our first stop, but it helps.
so the vouchers don't cover the total cost, but it's something, and I think that's cool.
I was not voluntold, but I guess kind of asked to be a treasurer last year, which is wow.
At Michaela's school, right?
At Michaela's school,
okay.
yeah. Which has really not had a huge role. I've had meetings to go to, but they messaged me yesterday and asked if I would come and assist with registration, collecting the equivalent of PTA funds for the parents. So that'll be.
But you also got benefits, because didn't you were also asked to sit at the table for dignitaries and hand out the awards, right?
Tesorera de la Sociedad de Padres de Familia.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like giving the
That's
certificates of promotion.
Promotion, yeah, the promotion
for the outgoing class. So
The first time we came here to get the kids' uniforms, and we're sitting there with the other parents and we're speaking in Spanish, and it's like I just remember it so vividly. It was like the first time where I really felt like, oh wow, this is real. We are a part. We're like just like everyone else, back to school shopping with the other parents, getting the uniforms. It's kind of cool. And so when we arrived today to get Mika's uniforms, the lady remembered us from last year. I doubt there's too many other gringos that come in to get uniforms. So anyway, we also stopped and got some notebooks and supplies, and we also got Mika some new school shoes from the Coppel. So anyway, we're about done with the back to school shopping. Cheers. For me, when we first moved to Mexico, to Bahia Asuncion, my plans were not to teach anymore. I pretty much just wanted to retire, work in the garden and brew beer and that kind of stuff. And so for 6, 7, 8 months, I didn't. Tracy started working right away, not with Pacific Preparatory, but with some other companies. And it's funny, I did find an ad for Pacific Preparatory on a newsletter I was reading, an academic newsletter. And she applied and ended up loving it. And I'd walk by, and this was before our offices were built, and she was teaching downstairs, and I'd walk by and I'd hear her interact with the kids, and just something started, I don't know, grabbing at me. I missed that interaction with the students. And so eventually I interviewed with Pacific Preparatory and their sister company, TutorCore, and ended up getting hired. And my first jobs were with TutorCore, and what TutorCore is, it's a tutoring company. They're the same company, but it's their tutoring arm. And I just had some really fascinating kids and fascinating parents, and found out that I really like this. How would you describe your students? Like, what kind of students go to Pacific Preparatory?
It's it's kind of mixed. Some are I have a lot of families who travel, who just are always on the move. Some of the travel is based on sports. I've got a professional surfer. I've got a really serious skier, snow skier. I've got other families that just the students. One family, I mean, he's a stellar student, but just wasn't enjoying school, wasn't being challenged, and again, really, really bright. So one-on-one, we can really dive deep. Other students, they're again kind of similarly, the needs aren't being met, so they come to us to really get intensive instruction at their level.
Any big difference between what you know about your school experience here as a soon to be junior versus what any of your friends in San Diego or elsewhere are experiencing?
I think one of the main differences, it's as far as curriculum goes, it's more of the same. The biggest difference for me specifically would have to be the classroom experience, but that isn't going to be the same in all of Mexico. If you go to Vizcaíno, they have a big school, and you have a classroom very similar to what you'd probably get in the States, but here, due to it being so small, you don't get any advanced classes, you don't get clubs, which can be hard, but
Is what it is, right?
yeah.
Cool.
I did take on a couple students with Pacific Preparatory teaching-wise, but just found it just wasn't for me. I didn't have the autonomy that I was used to in a classroom. So I pretty much teach 3 kids right now at TutorCore. I love it. It's right up my alley. I feel like it's more of a coaching job for me. I really get to supplement what the kids are doing in the classroom. And so it's fun for me. It's just the right amount because I'm getting really busy with the garden, getting busy brewing beer and cooking and taking care of the family and doing all that stuff. So 3 hours is right about where my comfort zone is.
Like Zach said, I don't work what's full-time, but it's pretty full-time for me. This year I'm going to be teaching, 16 classes.
And each class is about an hour long?
Every class is an hour. I've got, 5 students this year, 2 English, 3 history, and I'm doing some executive functioning coaching with another student. So,
one last thing about this place with the uniforms, we asked them how many schools that they represent, and they represent 39 different schools. So in other words, there's 39 different types of uniforms that they sell here. So pretty busy place.
I believe believe every family that I've worked with is just incredible. I don't know if it's what it is about our company that we seek out just, like-minded individuals. So I've been very, very happy with all the families that I've worked with. And I just like that it's not a great pay for, I would say, compared to what I was making in San Diego, but I feel that like our time is valued. You get additional pay for prep time, you get additional time pay for, report cards and things like that. So every little additional duty you do, you're paid for. So I just think that's respectful.
Because we live in Mexico, your pay is good for Mexico. So yeah. So it works for us. Like what Tracy said, the families are really interesting. I've had some fascinating families. And for me, it's just kind of interesting in that I have one family where mom is a big scientist for NASA, and we just have these conversations where it's just weird. She's doing all this crazy, I think she's doing crazy stuff, and she's like enamored that we moved down to Mexico and live where we live. So it's kind of fun. What is one of the struggles about teaching this format versus being in the classroom?
It's funny. It's almost hard to say because now I've done it for like 5 years. That's become very natural. COVID kind of forced us. Zach and I spent a lot of time when things were going crazy, like figuring out how to teach here. For me, this is just me. It's just getting the materials I need because here I am in Mexico. But there's just so much online content, so it's generally not an issue. Any other struggles? That would probably be it.
Cool. I miss, as a teacher, I found that I learned a lot about the kids and could assess them by walking around and hear them talking with each other. And so I kind of miss those interactions, those spontaneous things that I would hear. I can't let kids, when I'm teaching math, I have to do a lot more telling than I normally would in a classroom. In a classroom, it's much more letting the kids learn on their own. And so it's a little more guided online. But for what I do, I think maybe that's why I like the tutoring more than the teaching, for that reasons. But overall, super happy.
Is there anything you're nervous about? Anything you're anxious about? Or
One thing I am excited for, not really, I'm not anxious or nervous for anything. So in the coming weeks, we're probably in the first few weeks of the school year, we'll be having our student body elections. Last year, right before the end of the year, in our social studies class, we had a mock election because we had Mexican elections. But I had a lot of fun in that, and I have a lot of people interested in helping me out, so I really want to have a fun campaign. And I don't know, I think it can be cool. I have a lot of ideas for ways I can improve the school, make it a better place, to bring more of that school spirit into it, which I think is missing, like I've said, because we have a small community here, so to get anything of that sort done is difficult.
do you feel like the administration, the teachers, are they open to such ideas?
Yeah, especially at high school.
Okay.
I've had not problems, but difficulties at the middle school in their lack of, not forward thinking, but it's very rigid with the director. I mean, I understand if something's worked for 50 years, I guess, keep with it, but I really like how at the high school and even the elementary school, they're a lot more open to suggestions and change.
Okay, well, very cool.
I'm really happy with the kids and their schooling. Gabriel's going off to Tamaulipas in a couple weeks. He qualified for a short story competition through his school here, went to the state tournament, won that. Now he's going to nationals to present. I just feel like the kids, they're given opportunities that they definitely wouldn't have back in the States. I don't want to say it's better, but I don't want to say it's worse. It's different. I feel like the kids have a little bit more opportunity to explore what is interesting to them versus what they're told to study to get into college or whatever.
Buenos días, como ustedes saben, yo soy Gabriel Johnson, un alumno del segundo semestre.
Wow. We walked down to the graduation, and so here it's 3 years for the high school. The secundaria is what they call it. Gabriel's in first year. And it's pretty cool. We knew Gabriel was going to get an acknowledgement for his taking first place in the state for the short story competition in La Paz a couple weeks ago. So that was kind of cool. He was one of 2 kids that gave a speech. He gave a speech. He kind of talked about a short story. And he also was awarded the top student in his class, and he actually had the top grades in the whole school, all 3 grade levels. And just sitting there, and I think I reflect a lot more living in Mexico because, one, I have more time to reflect, but 2, it's just there's a lot more to reflect on living in a different culture. And I just kind of asked myself while I was sitting there, like, how is it that our kids are getting these awards? Because Tracy and I, as parents, we've never looked at grades as being important to us. We've always raised our Gabriel and Mika with the attitude of try your best. If you commit something, stick to it. So it's always been about effort and asking questions and learning. But as I sat there and thought back, I'm like, every year that I can think back to, they've been the top kids in their classes. And so it's definitely rewarding. It's getting a little, I don't say awkward. It's kind of cool. It's special. And I look at what they've done, both of them, and I want to live long enough to see where they go because it's pretty cool. Between their extracurricular activities and their academic success, Tracy and I are both definitely proud of the kids. Anyway, it's kind of cool. Again, I referred to this in a recent short. Everyone was concerned about where the kids would go to school when we moved to Mexico. Would we homeschool them or whatever, as if Mexico can't have a great educational system. It's working for us. We're really happy, and living in Mexico is cool. So anyway, that's all for today.
Here we are. This is Mika getting ready to go back to school.